The Atlanta housing market is changing every day, and the way that home buyers get ahead of the competition is also changing in Atlanta. So, here are a few things you need to know about before buying a home in Atlanta. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and buy a home in Atlanta. Right now, we're talking about some things you need to know before you buy a home here in the city. So, one thing right off the bat that you should be aware of is that interest rates are coming down. As of filming this video in December, interest rates are dropping very quickly, which is surprising a lot of people, especially because we thought that interest rates were going to continue to increase throughout 2024. But in fact, it's looking like quite the opposite. Just about a month and a half ago, interest rates were as high as 8%, sometimes even 8.5%, which was just incredibly high. And this was incredibly concerning, especially for the people who were hoping to get that interest rate as low as 3%, like it was a year and a half ago. So to see interest rates having climbed so high was certainly discouraging. And then many people thought that we would see this throughout 2024. But in the last couple months, interest rates have come down. Today, interest rates are about 7%, which is something we haven't seen in quite a while. And it's very possible that interest rates continue to decrease throughout 2024. The Federal Reserve, which is the group that kind of dictates the interest rates mainly for savings accounts, has stated that interest rates are going to be decreasing through 2024. Now, keep in mind that mortgage interest rates are not directly tied to interest rates that the Federal Reserve sets, but they are somewhat correlated. There is a bit of a connection between the two. And if we see mortgage interest rates continue to drop through 2024, especially in the spring of 2024, we're going to see a lot more home buyers coming to the market to find a home. There are going to be more buyers who are able to afford a mortgage because the interest rate will continue to decrease, which will mean their monthly mortgage payment would be less. So there'd be more people able to afford a mortgage. This is going to bring a lot more people to the market. There's going to be a lot more competition for the homes that are for sale. And this also means that we'll see listings with lower average days on market. That means that like the listings will go off the market even faster. I'm assuming it would be something similar to what we saw in the spring of this year or last year, where homes would go on the market on like a Thursday or a Friday and then have a bunch of showings throughout the weekend. And then by Sunday evening or Monday, they would be already under contract, or the seller would already have picked a buyer to go under contract. So the home would no longer be available for sale. This is kind of typical in the spring here in Atlanta. And if interest rates continue to decrease, we're certainly going to see even more of that through 2024. Now, one thing that many people want to know is whether or not they should wait for interest rates to come down. If you're thinking about buying a home in Atlanta and you just want to know what it's like to live here, or you have any questions about the interest rates, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. I'm the one who answers those phone calls, those text messages, those emails. I'd be happy to help with your home moving needs to Metro Atlanta. But whether or not you should wait to buy a home and wait for those interest rates to come down is really up to you ultimately. There is certainly pros and cons to waiting. The pro of waiting for the interest rates to come down is that obviously you're going to get a lower interest rate, which means a lower monthly mortgage payment, which is crucial. And then the other side of that equation is that the longer you wait, or the lower that interest rates go, the more competition there will be. So there'll be more multiple offer situations on homes. And this also means that the prices of homes will increase. Supply and demand means that the more demand for homes there are, the price of the homes are going to continue to go up. So whether or not you wait is kind of a difficult thing to time. It's never really easy to time the market. it should be more so dictated by your circumstances. Like if you have a lease that's about to expire, or if you're starting a new job, or if you're wanting to be in a new area for your kids to have the school year in time, to start the school year. Like these kinds of things should really, in my opinion, be the thing that determines when you buy that home. But trying to time the market for interest rates is very difficult. Again, there's pros and cons for both, whether you wait or whether you don't wait. So it really is ultimately up to you whether or not you should wait for those interest rates to come down. One way that we could kind of figure out what the demand might look like in 2024 is how it looked in 2023. I'd say the average interest rate, off the top of my head, in 2023 was somewhere around 7% for mortgage interest rates in 2023. And during the spring and like early summer, I would say about 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4 homes had a multiple offer situation. And then this is kind of what I would expect in 2024 if interest rates come down to 7%. If they go any lower, if they reach 6% in 2024, I would expect at least half of the homes to have multiple offer situations. So it really just depends on how many buyers are going to be in the market. One of the best ways to get an advantage over the other buyers in the market and trying to beat the other buyers to the listings is to have all of your ducks in a row and ready to make an offer on your dream home when it comes up. So having things done like having a pre-approval with a lender is super important. Being ready to lock your loan is super important. Another really big one is having the lender that you've chosen put your file through underwriting. This is a big one that many people still have not really caught on to. Like there's a difference between having a pre-approval and having your loan go through underwriting. Two very different things. A lender will be very quick to give you a pre-approval. They'll kind of look at your monthly income and they'll look at your credit score and they'll just kind of do a superficial look at all of these things. They'll check the box. Yep, you're pre-approved. You're ready to go. But not until your file goes through underwriting are you really having an approved loan. To have a pre-approval and an approval is two different things. And your loan is not approved until you go through underwriting. And most lenders wait until you're already under contract to have the underwriter look at the file. But if you can do that before you go under contract, you would certainly have a big advantage over other buyers. Another big thing you can do, especially for people who are buying a home who are coming from out of state, one big thing you can do is having someone like me go to the homes for you and do like virtual showings. Virtual showings are super helpful. That way you don't have to like fly or drive into the Atlanta area to see whether or not the home is a good fit for you. I could go to the home, I could check out the home, and we could also do like a Zoom call or a FaceTime call for you to get a good view of the home and get a good feel for what the home is like. Here at Atlanta Suburban Living, most of our clients are relocating to Metro Atlanta from out of state. So we're very used to working with people who are doing that relocation process. And one of the main things that we do is help out with those showings. In addition to finding homes and setting up inspections and submitting offers and submitting the request for appraisals and also submitting title work information, one of the things that we do is help people with their showings. If you're in another state and you're looking for a home here in Metro Atlanta, we can come up with a list of homes that you're interested in, and then I could go to that home and then I could FaceTime you or Zoom call you for you to get a good feel for what that home is like. Being able to see those homes right away as soon as they come on the market instead of having to drive or fly to Metro Atlanta to see the home will give you a big leg up over the competition who are taking a while maybe to go see the homes. Once you've seen the home online and you've seen a video of the home and you're ready to make an offer, we can do all of that paperwork online. We can sign virtually through an e-sign platform. Whatever you need to do from out of state, we can handle for you here in Metro Atlanta. And this is one of the main reasons why so many people who are relocating to Atlanta use our company for purchasing a home. Okay, so let's talk about what the contract period looks like, or what the home buying process looks like when you're buying a home here in Metro Atlanta. I know different states have different rules for how long an inspection period is or how long an appraisal contingency might be. But here in Georgia, once you have found the home that you like and you've submitted the offer and the seller accepts your offer, you're looking at about 30 days from the time that the seller accepts your offer to the time that you close. That first week or so is the inspection period. The next few weeks is the lender going over all of your documents. Again, usually this is when the underwriter goes over the file. And then the last week or so is the closing attorney doing the title work to make sure that the home can be transferred to the new buyer. Here in Georgia, when your offer is accepted, you submit a deposit. It's called earnest money, and the closing attorney holds this deposit. Typically, it's about 1% of the purchase price of the home. So if you're buying a home for $500,000, you would submit a $5,000 deposit to the closing attorney. This is to show the seller that you are serious about buying the home. Now, many people will ask, is it possible for a buyer to terminate a contract, or is it possible for a seller to terminate a contract? And the short answer is that it's typically not acceptable for a seller to terminate a contract, but a buyer can terminate a contract, but only for certain reasons could they keep their deposit. During the inspection period, that predetermined amount of days that we use to inspect the home, a buyer can terminate the contract for any reason at all and keep their deposit. So one strategy that we often use here at Atlanta Suburban Living is people will look at the home online, and then we'll do like a video tour while they are in another state. And then once their offer is accepted, they'll then fly here to Metro Atlanta or drive here and see the home during the inspection period. And if for some reason there's something going on with the home that they don't like, they can terminate the contract and keep the deposit. And so this strategy has helped really well for many people to get ahead of the competition when it comes to buying a home here in Metro Atlanta. Once we've passed the inspection period, the house looks good, the lender has then approved your loan, we're now down to like the last week or so, and the closing attorney is making sure that the home can be transferred to the new buyer. Once that's done, we're all set for closing, and you can also sign for your closing from another state. Whether you are here in Metro Atlanta or not, you can easily sign for that closing. And many times, if you are out of state, the closing attorney here will set up a notary to meet you where you are so that you can sign all of those closing documents from any part of the country. Whether you're signing remotely or from here in Metro Atlanta, typically a closing takes about 30 to 45 minutes for all of the paperwork and the enormous amount of documents to be signed. Once all of those documents are signed and the file is funded with your funds from the bank, you are now officially closed, and congratulations, you're the new owner of that home. One thing that's kind of common here in Metro Atlanta that we see every once in a while is when the buyer provides the seller temporary occupancy of the home after closing. Sometimes this is 1 day, sometimes it's 2 days, or sometimes it's about a week. It just depends on how much the seller needs and how much the buyer is willing to give the seller. And it's all part of the negotiation when you first submit that offer. The reason that a buyer would give the seller that temporary occupancy to live in the home after closing is for the seller to be able to move their stuff out, but it also helps with getting your offer accepted by the seller. When we do that, we use a legal contract that states that if anything were to happen with the home while the seller was living in that home during that temporary occupancy, the seller would be responsible for making sure that anything is repaired or any damages are taken care of by the seller. So it's very little risk for the buyer, and it also helps that offer get accepted. A big part of whether or not you're using that temporary occupancy is kind of dependent on what part of Metro Atlanta you're buying a home in, actually. In some parts of Metro Atlanta, it's more common, and in other parts, it's less common. And there really is a lot of differences between the different cities and suburbs of Metro Atlanta. Some of the suburbs of Metro Atlanta, I'm not really a big fan of. And then other suburbs I love. My family and I personally live in Marietta. We love this city and many of the other suburbs around Atlanta. If you want a full list of the top 5 suburbs of Metro Atlanta, check out this video. I'll see you there.